Gillingham.
Here.
Mr. Huska.
Here.
Ms. Pritchard.
Here.
Mr. Kieran.
Here.
Mr. Metz.
Here, thank you. D, our mission statement, we are a learning community providing students with a competitive advantage through career, technical education, and academic excellence. A reminder why we're here tonight. Number 2, the consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda, may I have a motion, please?
So moved. I'll second.
Second. There's been one addition to the agenda that was added in AC since it was sent out. And it's the superintendent's agenda item. Treasurer's agenda item.
It's in the printed packet, but it was not there if you looked at it earlier this weekend.
So it's added in now. Any objections to the agenda? No. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Kieran.
Yes.
Mrs. Dane.
Yes.
Mr. Gillingham.
Yes.
Mr. Huska.
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard.
Yes.
Mr. Metz.
Yes, thank you. Number 3, public participation is a time used for the public to address the Board of Education. Please use your 3 minutes or less, state your name and address. Nobody in public participation tonight. Our next regular scheduled meeting will be August 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in the restaurants. Educational presentation, none. Approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2023 work session?
So moved.
Mr. Coran, second by Mr. Huska.
Could potentially do both at the same time should you choose.
There's 2 of them.
There's
So
a work session.
may I, Mr. Coran, since you made a motion, may I add in the July 27th, or June 27th meeting also?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to, this will be, Mr. Coran has made the motion for July 10th and June 27th meeting minutes. We will roll call, please.
Mr. Kieran.
Yes.
Mr. Huska.
Yes.
Mrs. Dane.
Yes.
Mr. Gillingham.
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard.
Yes.
Mr. Metz.
Yes. 7, treasurer items for information, Mr. Butts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under items for information is the final June projections for the year. If you take a look at that, you can see where we ended the year. If you look at the highlighted below in the yellow, based on our spending last year compared to this year, we actually are up $616,000. But when you include the other funds, it nets out to $1.5 million less than what we spent the previous year. Star Ohio is currently $4.9 million. I do believe Friday we're supposed to get $3.3 million in real estate proceeds. The bulk of that will go to Star Ohio to make some money on that. And then our investments for U.S. Bank is $7.2 million. Under treasure action items, do you have any questions on that?
I do.
Yeah.
So next year, for yourself and Mr. Christmas, we've got construction trades expenditure next year is big money, and the fire tower.
Yes.
So we have offsetting money coming in for that, we believe.
I can't say anything for sure. What I can tell you is we do have the $1 million and we'll have $500,000 by this time next year. So 1.5 will be in the bank. To the governor's $200 million, I submitted the construction trades building. What I know right now is that 50 out of the 66 were funded, but I don't know which ones yet. They've not released that information. And I submitted the fire tower to the $100 million construction. We're supposed to know early September at this point is what they're saying. I think both projects are a go in some way, shape, or form, but I would certainly like more help from the governor's office.
And so is that the only big project we have for focus for next year?
We are going to do the science classrooms and we are going to do the high school office, but none of those are in the scope of money that has been anywhere close
So
to
this will be a measure of the growth year for you with some money?
Well, yeah, you could argue this year was a bit of a growth year. I'm going to talk about that next.
Okay.
And we're getting $1 million more from the state next year, which is state is thunder.
This actually includes that $1 million donation from Ken Cleveland Foundation.
So have the rates that you're getting from these banks gone up similar to the way money markets?
Star,
rates are going
the
up?
last I heard, Star, it was 5.3%.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we made, just in 1 month alone, we made $22,000 to start.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, that's why I'm dumping everything I can in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'd like to ask one thing about like the fire tower and that. I seen on the news where different fire companies, like I think it was Broadway Heights, and Baldwin County, County, was wondering about, they want to build a fire tower, you know, the kind of cost of work over. Is there some way we can reach out and rent our tower to different municipalities or something?
It's not a bad statement. Every Medina County person is going to, all of our people are going to line up to take the training, which we've already said that we would, because of the support that we've gotten from them for various reasons. By the time we do our students, high school and adult, and the local community, we could take, if we start renting out, we're going to go from a 20-year facility to a 10-year facility pretty quick by the wear and tear. And I would rather just keep it to Medina County.
Oh, yeah, but Medina County Fire Departments are currently using it then?
100%.
Oh, okay.
All
Yeah,
of
I
them.
didn't know that.
All of them.
With other places to look for it, maybe, you know, we can something, or wherever we are.
Mayor, I have one question. Is this board ever considered commercial paper?
That's a great question. Yes, I proposed that years ago. It was,
Used twice.
yeah.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Commercial paper. Investments.
We've had that argument here, we've had that discussion here. It's always open to bring up the arguments.
I mean, I'm just curious, because we just changed it to that and we're doing that.
Yeah, in the past, the board wasn't supportive of commercial paper.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of the board.
It was a split vote.
I know I could make more money with investments in commercial paper, but I have to have the support of the board in order to do that. I would love to revisit it, but I don't know where the board can stand now.
I mean, we couldn't talk about it at another day, but the argument at that time was taking
Well, I'll
it.
skip one.
Yes.
No, but I was also opposed to it because of taking a chance with taxpayers' money. And the investment has lost money, it's not always perfect. And I would rather not be greedy and make a little bit of money and not lose any, than take a chance with people whose hard-earned tax dollars. That was my position on it. So it was a split vote at the time.
And I would say in the environment at that time, and Bob definitely was the champion on one side, Rob was probably the champion on the other side, quite frankly, and then everybody was in between. And not to overstep my bounds, but I would say that at that point, when we were determining to do that, was the exact moment when Toys R Us was going down, and that was the example that was given, that would have been commercial paper, and that would be an example of a company that went totally belly up that no one would have ever expected. So, I mean, that was the,
Did players lose money?
they did that year.
So we could lose money, and I'm not willing, for me, I don't want to be the one that, or community lost taxpayers' dollars.
There's a way, what we did is, we only had to be American companies, and had to have an A+ rating from our investment. So we were very limited, but we made more money in this short period of time than we did all last year.
So you take Enron, they were an A+ American company.
Pardon?
Enron, years ago, they're an A+ rated company, and they had all the accolades, and they went on.
Yeah.
Companies can hide what they're really doing, the CEOs and such.
We can go back to Gina, and talk about it in another meeting, maybe one of our special meetings, we'll go
Yeah,
back
that's
to.
fine.
But it was definitely a split vote.
That's fine. I just was, no, wondering.
Yeah, that was a little history on that, how we.
Okay.
Yeah, no, under treasure action items, monthly financials, financial statement, and monthly expenditures for June. That's item A. Under item B is the Ohio Schools Council. This is Power for Schools resolution and agreement to get reduced rates for our electricity. And then under item C is out-of-state professional development for a conference, it's a Career Tech Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm asking for approval of items A through C.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Fisher? Questions for the treasurer, and then I know we want to talk about the conference.
Any questions? Just so you know, we ended the year, I know this isn't in here, but we ended the year on a positive. Part of the reason we ended in a positive 2.2 million compared to what I projected in May was a $1 million donation that I threw in general fund because I knew we were going to pull it out. So I just put it in general fund instead of our PI fund. So if you take that away, we're up 1.2 million. A large amount of that is due to spending less than what I projected with salaries, benefits, purchase services, and supplies. I will say that I have not paid any bills from last year for Project Lead the Way because I'm still waiting on invoices from the treasurers. Once I receive those, it'll be close to about $1 million in purchase services expense. But last year, we paid the previous year, and that is reflected in the 5-year forecast purchase services for last year. So it is actually included. But we ended the year in the general fund, $8.9 million. We are due to receive a large increase from the state of Ohio, roughly 13% the first year, and then 3.1% the second year. And that is on top of our real estate increase that we will receive as well. So we're sitting really good at this point. As far as you want to talk about so as far as the Career Tech Vision Conference, it's a Career Tech conference in Phoenix. The one keynote speaker, which was interesting, he's a business advisor and entrepreneur, which I thought he would be able to share some relevant information. The other thing is they have discussions when it comes to not just Career Tech High School, but Career Tech Adult Ed. So there's ways that you can get ideas from other associations or school districts out there with how they work with adult ed and the accounts and the budgets that they work with. And then some of the other things that they basically produce is new ways to do things as far as recruiting, things of that nature for our programs or whatever it may be. This actually will be the first National Career Tech Conference I've been to. Most of the ones I've gone to in the past, national conferences were school business official conference, so like school treasurers, those conferences. But this will be the first Career Tech one in my experience.
What would be the projected cost for these?
The projected right now, based on airfare, hotel room, registration, it's like $2,000.
How many adult ed schools will be there?
Well, I'm not sure. I know in the past, this particular conference, I know Ashtabula Tech has gone to it. I know Polaris has gone to it, just in Ohio alone. But there's other districts. Since I've never been, I don't know exactly. I just know those two have. I'm friends with those treasurers. And I think they might be going to this one this year, but I don't know for sure. But there's plenty of other states that will
Right,
be in
that's what I was
attendance.
curious.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
maybe what other states are doing compared to what we do.
Yeah.
So Mr. Watson, when he sent this to me, was that board members could possibly get some benefit from this and somebody would want to go. And Mr. Gillingham, I was thinking about yourself because, you know, you do teaching classes and
Sure,
is it something that you might be interested in doing with
I think so,
the calendar?
yeah.
So I know other career centers have taken board members. It's a good conference for them as well.
For board members too?
And there's some good golf courses outside.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So are you asking permission for you to approve for yourself tonight? And, yeah, like Mr. Gillingham really have to approve that in the August meeting?
Well, I just said, in the language, I just put for myself and any group. So technically, it would be covered. We wouldn't have to look at other people. And it doesn't have to be determined, but just tell them. So there's still plenty of time to get here.
So the idea is that when you get back from this, you'll share, together something?
Sure.
You have to keep the rest of the year. You need to too, Bob, just, you'll get out of this. I want a 3-page, single
I use
space.
ChatGPT,
Chat GTP.
so don't check it, okay?
Any further questions for the treasurer? Roll call.
Mr. Hugo?
Yes.
Ms. Pritchard?
Yes.
Ms. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Karen?
Yes.
Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Number 9, superintendent's items of information. Mr. Crystal.
Okay, the principal's report is really just about celebrations. We knew that all of the career tech student organizations were competing over the last several months, and we are proud that our students have done very, very well. Animal care and management just finished their state level stuff. Oddly enough, most of their national stuff comes in the fall following, so they're way behind. So you could have a graduated student that goes to competition in September of the year following. That is not unusual. So we've got some of them that will be competing next year. Continuing down, we've got 3 of our other organizations that are really awesome. Educators Rising is specific to only our teaching professions group, and they took several students down. I can tell you that Mr. Hicks was the male chaperone for the trip, and they did go down to Orlando, Florida. The 2 young ladies on the right were our next national champions. So that was super exciting to have them do that, and represented the district well. And then at the HOSA competition, you guys have had the opportunity to meet Corinne on 2 opportunities. And Corinne, we placed, and I don't want to belittle the competition, okay? But if I were to say we won motorcycle again, that's cool, but there may be 30 motorcycle things in the country. When I said we got 2nd place in chef, every career technical center in the state and the country has chef training. This young lady competed in clinical nursing, so she didn't compete against 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. You're talking thousands of people she would have competed against along the way. And they tell you who gets in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then after that they just tell you if you were in the top 10. We know for sure Corinne was in the top 10, and that was pretty amazing. And then I don't know the last one. You've also met this young man. He is a Wadsworth student, Levi Farnsworth. If any of you attended last Thursday, was it last Thursday, Chris, the hay baler thing? So last Thursday, if you did the hay balers where it shut down the square, Levi Farnsworth planned the entire event on his own. So I mean, that tells you what kind of young man this is. But he placed 3rd in the country in power equipment technology. So again, thousands of kids that he would have competed against. And then just a couple of weeks ago, Chef received national recognition for his Spirit of Advising championship that he won. I attended that ceremony back in May, but he was recognized at the national level just about 2 weeks ago. So really, the principal's report is all about celebrations. Chris, I'll turn it over to you for what you've got in your adult ed director's report.
Yes, I would say some of that would be a similar theme, the director's report, and I'm not going to belabor the beginning part of the report because we did talk about that for about an hour at the work session, and I believe all the board members were there except for board member Dane. And what I covered with them was a lot of the transition efforts that I've been undertaking because there's a lot of things that had to be transitioned and a lot of coursework that I had to complete. We talked about the numbers at that time, and we had our ceremony for the adult education graduates, which was a wonderful ceremony, and I greatly appreciated the board's support, both in person and your support for helping us organize that and put it together. So that is, and it was a very, very nice ceremony and a lot of success, and a lot of people are very excited about what they accomplished.
Thank you, Chris. Building and grounds report. Actually, you can see that only Mary and Mr. Colina are here today. And Mr. Mr. Ernie is actually here today. He is hanging drywall even as we speak in student services because he's got a 2-day start and we can get the furniture in by the end of the week. So actually I spent this afternoon hanging drywall with him, just to try to get a leg up a little faster. So that's, I said, just keep going. I promise you the board would rather you finish this room for student services than be there for the report. But it is there. We are right where we need to be with construction. We did another walkthrough again today, and I feel very confident that we're gonna complete this project on time and in a good manner. So Gary and his team have done absolutely amazing. I can tell you the CE Holly room will be done in the next 13 days. I can't wait to see that one done. That's been a long time. The last one was items for information. There was a request from board member Jeannie Pritchard in regards to the breakdown of registration fees. It's an email that she sent to Dennis.
This is, what I want to know is, when you come in to register, you have to pay $250. Now, nowhere in this book that I got is $250 or $125 listed, but on our website, it says it's $250, but that is then goes towards your tuition. If you get free tuition, why are you paying? I mean, I don't have a problem with them paying for their fingerprint background, but where does the rest of that money go?
Okay. I'm gonna let Chris address that a little bit, but I do want to give you a little bit of background that maybe we didn't present to the group. When we decided the tuition payments, there was a subcommittee that met April 19th. It was myself, it was Martha Jankura, Janice Kohler, Dennis Matson, Chuck Stiver, and Mary Wilson. And that subcommittee met and we determined that we really believed that the students needed to have skin in the game. And so that $250 does not just go to the registration fee and then just disappear. So we determined that that money was an important thing to keep them on the hook, keep them, you know, it was the fingerprinting, it was the background check, it was the paper moving, it was the meeting with them, it was for the people to meet with them with FAFSA, and it was just a number that was determined based on all of those things that would take place to get a student registered for classes. And so that group, and I've had the meeting minutes with me, and I'm happy to give them to you, but that group determined that it was important for those fees to be paid by the student. And so I want to let you know, it wasn't just one person's decision, or it wasn't willy-nilly, or anything else like that.
Is that dollar amount 250? Is it the same? So
Each class would be a different cost.
I'm gonna let you, I know there was a 150 we talked about.
So the part-time classes are $125. And so those are the shorter term courses.
Like Excel and QuickBooks.
Yeah, right. QuickBooks, phlebotomy, so those classes are $125. The full-time classes are $225. And the breakdown is just as exactly as Mr. Chrisman mentioned. I will say that the book that you're referring to is the high school course catalog.
Yeah, but it's
And in the high school course catalog, we do dabble a little bit because that goes home to every parent, every 10th grade parent in the county. And we try to get them in the hands of some 8th graders too, just to help spread the word that we're more than just a high school.
Okay, now here's another question. If I want to sign up for Excel, okay, that's what, a full-time course?
No, that's a part-time course.
Okay, so I pay 125, and then say I want to go into QuickBooks. Do I have to pay another 125?
That is a separate class. So yes, you would be, that is
So
part of the
every
fees
time I
for
register
that.
for a class, I got to pay additional money, right?
That is the way it's structured.
And so Chris, the 125 for Excel and the 125 for QuickBooks, does that include fingerprints in that too?
For those classes, you would not be fingerprinting because you don't need that with some of those short-term classes. So each one of the programs has different requirements, and so that number is kind of baked into that registration.
I think what he's asking is that, is there any overlap in services that are being covered by that cost that is the same service provided for this class as it would be for this class? So it's like, why would you pay for it twice?
Yeah, I would have to really analyze that.
Because, I mean, if I paid, I kind of feel like it's a college to register. You
Yeah.
don't have to pay another registration.
You don't pay for each
fee.
course, you pay.
Right, I mean, you just pay. So if I wanted to do QuickBooks, or Excel, and I register for one and then I want to take the other one the next time it's offered, why would I have to pay another $125? That's all I'm asking. It just seems like,
It's you like to say universal registration fee,
right,
and then, you know, say, so supplies and books for Excel versus QuickBooks would be completely different.
Based on that framing, I would agree with you. Based on what I saw in the email, it was just wave them all together.
Oh,
But if you
no.
say not to be redundant, and someone did one class, they want to do one the next class, or you did electricity once, and now you want the continuum, I certainly think that's something Chris and I can look into.
And part of it is honestly a little bit out of our control. I'll give you an example. When you're dealing with the Ohio Department of Public Safety, and I've been working with Tim Grudemeister on this because there are different requirements if you sign up to take our 36-hour firefighter class, or you sign up to take the firefighter 1, or you take the firefighter 2. And so I don't know the answer to that if the state would require fingerprints each time, because you're technically taking that in a different semester, and certainly things can change from one enrollment to another enrollment. And we see that in high school even, when the students in our program, and sometimes what their background was could be different than when they're getting to the point where they're taking a certification. So I don't, in all honesty, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that would be a question I'd have to ask Tim, because there's decisions that this board would not be able to make with that because they're made by the state of Ohio, and you would understand that too.
So I run a web chat site, and when people come and get fingerprinting for these issues, it's monitored by the FBI and PCI. And there's a time frame when fingerprints are taken that they can be resent to another state agency without any further cost. So somebody came in and said they wanted to go to the Department of Nursing, and then the next day said, oh shoot, I need to send them also to my state notary. My person in my office could send them without charging them again. But there's a finite time with that. It can't be periods of time. And if somebody's, I can see taking, so like with the fingerprints, I understand for the law enforcement and for the different programs that would require for licensure. But the explanation why we're doing fingerprints is because there are adults in the building and there's kids here. But we're not taking fingerprints for Excel adults or QuickBooks. So we could have a felon, child pedophile doing Excel, and he's okay, but we don't fingerprint him to know that. So I not to micromanage this, but I almost, do we really need to know the fingerprints of kids who don't like welding? What crime are they going to commit if they take a welding class? You know, and probably somebody with a convicted felon who is trying to get his life together, like to see him take a welding class and be a productive member of society. We don't want to exclude him because he got a hit. If we tell him you get a hit, you can't come in the building, and you know, it's not a crime of moral turpitude. We want to get, you know, we are a place of learning.
I'm not sure that's our rule.
So that's the question, is there a rule for that? Why, you know, for all that? Because we're yeah, but if it's a state for welding, is there, why are we doing it for Excel and because we still can come into buildings.
Why don't we just research that?
Yeah, okay, so Chris, I mean, yeah, can we get some feedback on that? Because it's, like I know to do BCI and FBI, my charge, what I charge somebody walking in the street for that, I charge $120 per book. And that's pretty much a bargain, because I think we pay the state.
And that,
$47.25.
47.25 for the two.
So, in the end, what we're doing is this, commercial business too, it's part of it, we gotta pay for the computer or stuff like that. So, is it something that we can maybe not have to do for these kids who are coming, for these adults who are coming in?
My comfort level would be, quite honestly, that they would all be done.
Maybe even for Excel and QuickBooks?
I think it's still.
Because you could come across somebody that's not supposed to be within 600 yards of a school building. You could come across someone who's taken that class and has, I mean, I've seen every, yeah,
So do they do this when you go to Tri-C?
I can't answer that.
I don't know if my kids, when they went to Kent or EG, had to be fingerprinted, because there's young adults that are under 18 there also.
I can't answer that.
And I'm not being argumentative,
No,
I'm just trying to.
I know, and I wanted to speak for a second, I don't mean to put her on the spot, but how you're saying there's a finite period, I don't know that the school district has that same possibility, because when we fingerprint, get one send, it could go to two, let me speak to that.
You can only go to one place. So in our system, I have to choose Ohio Department of Education. If I do a direct mail, I have to fingerprint the second time. So as an example, our teaching profession students, I have to put it in Ohio Department of Education using the code 3319, which is using their code. And then if they were going to go to a facility, I also have to use Ohio Jobs and Family Services. So those students are actually charged twice because they're fingerprinted twice. Our system does not allow us to not.
So you don't get a drop-down box where there's probably about 40 or 50 places where you can go to in the state for different types of, you don't get that drop-down box?
Yes, yes.
You do?
Yes, but you can
So
only choose the one.
we don't get charged twice.
So you can only choose the one. So if I choose Ohio Department of Education, then that's where that fingerprint goes. And if I have to do Ohio Jobs and Family Services, then I have to fingerprint again, and then it goes direct to Ohio Jobs and
She
Family
slipped out there and
Services.
blocks that cell.
Yeah, I don't know why we would be, unless your rate as a public institution is cheaper than my rates.
Or it's a basic service, something like that, commercial service.
Yeah, well,
Can't
yeah.
speak to that.
We often do that, we send it to multiple people. But we're off, we're getting up to the tangent on,
Right. Something we don't do.
Fingerprint background checks, because I volunteer for the law, it's good for 1 year. And so, if you pass your background check and fingerprint in November, and then you could do something most of the time, I would think, it was horrible, newspaper or something to pick it up, but I just don't see, keep taking these after these classes. And maybe firefighter is a little bit different, but law enforcement is only one class, but, I'm just concerned that we want people to come in, but then we're like nickel and diming them, $225 here and that, $125, and every time you sign up for another class, it's another $125. Why would I come there? I mean, seriously, that's, if I just want to learn how to do this on my own, or maybe just to help my job, wherever I work, that's just $125 and then $245 and another $125 for that.
So you want one set, you register, and you're registered forever.
Well,
Just for forever.
2 years, yeah.
Whatever.
Something, yeah.
And then there's additional money, so it's maybe not 125, but there's going to be money for supplies and things.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just minimizing, so maximizing their registration, saying you want to register, it's $50.
Yeah, or
What it
whatever,
is.
yeah.
And then saying, okay, but if you're taking QuickBooks, it's, 45 for those, and if it's Excel, it's another 70. Is this what you're, I'm
Yeah.
trying to kind of wrap my head on?
So some overlap, cut that price off the other one.
I mean, I get the one registration, I mean, that's what it is for colleges. But then you always have to pay for supplies and books. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
he has
the
to
other-
pay that other stuff.
Yeah,
You do that in college too, but
yeah.
just register once.
I will tell you that it's been a learning, obviously it's been a steep learning curve, a learning experience. So I spoke with Tim Grunmeister yesterday, and I asked him, because I'm questioning an action that took place, and so we had a doctor that took our EMT class. Okay. We had the doctor take our TAPE, which is the test of adult basic education. I said, why did we do that? Why did we not waive that? Because I have waived some for students that have been recent college students, and they present me with their transcript. I just did one today. Student, okay, you took math, you took college comp, you're good. Why would I have you sit for this?
We can do the same thing with an SAT or an ACT.
I've done that as well, yeah, last week. So I had somebody present those scores and they didn't hit the benchmark on the SAT, they were good to go. But I was informed that based on our accreditation for that program, it's part of the requirements. And it didn't matter that this person was a doctor, they still had to take that. So some of these, like I said, some of these requirements that we have are going to take me a while to learn why they're there, because that was my immediate thing, is probably thinking the same thing you're thinking. Why would we do this? Okay, now I understand why we would do it. It's because it's part of the requirement for the accreditation, which I was not thinking of. I'm thinking, why didn't we waive this for this person, who, by the way, did not get one question wrong. On 75 questions, 100% right. So that's why I was questioning why we would not waive that for the person. We had to have them come in and spend an hour and a half. And like you, Gene, I was trying to figure out, why did we make this person jump through this hoop? How could we have made this easier to come take your EMT? And they were sponsored by the fire department as well, which is great. But I'm looking at the same things you are. How can we simplify the process for people and streamline it a little bit more? And hopefully we'll get there.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, so that, I just have one follow-up question on the fingerprints. So, yeah, and that does the fingerprints, and you get a hit on somebody. Is there a line where we exclude somebody from taking the welding class as an adult?
Yes.
What would it be, any felony?
So have Department of Education give us a list.
So we're holding the same standards as that we would be a teacher, Department of Education.
It's very specific to what we're allowed to have in a K-12 building. Like even if I had someone hanging drywall during the day,
Okay,
it's
so
the
so
same.
using that standard, okay.
We don't have a choice. There are some permanent disqualifiers, there are some 7-year disqualifiers, and then there's like, don't worry about it.
And this was not a K-12 building, or we're not K-12, we're 11 and 12. That would not come into play.
I can't speak to that for sure, but I would assume that would be true.
What if they were going to do drywall?
No, if we were at, like, say, the Medina University Center, we were only adults over there.
I'm sure there would be a different playing field.
And I'm not trying to make it like more difficult, I just think that there's some people
But
that
interestingly
need to
enough,
get back into the workforce.
I was complaining about it 8 years ago, and Mayor Hanwell had said something to me that it's the same thing for government buildings as well. That they have to have clearance, and they can't have permanent disqualifiers in a government building as well.
Like, I'm not trying to make it like this, but I'm just trying to sympathize.
We're just playing by the rules that we know of.
What is somebody asking?
Okay, action items. Handbook, teacher handbook was there for your perusal last month. It's there for permanent approval this month. Textbooks are there, the emergency operations plan. Under personnel, there's just a couple of things. There's a resignation of our adult phlebotomy instructor, and then there's a couple of, the high school supplementals is for 2 of the administrative assistants to get some hours this summer. One's because the whole student services area is tore up and she can help us put some stuff back together. And the other one is to process some student registrations. And then our first flock of substitutes is there for approval. And then the last thing for approval would be donations. And one is Amy Wardren, who's a friend of Annette's actually, and she dropped off just a ton of stuff for the care closet last Thursday. And then automation tool and die, this may seem like a small deal, but Bill Bennett, we haven't had much contact with automation tool and die in the last 3 or 4 years, but Randy Bennett has since left that company, was bought out by his brother Bill, and Bill contacted us when they went from Brunswick to the Valley City. They went from 4 plants to 1, and they had 2 compressors that they never hooked up. The larger 3-phase compressor, and I know we don't put values on anything, is a $16,000 compressor, and the smaller single-phase 3/4 ton is about a $6,000 compressor. And we picked those up on Thursday, so, and they are brand spanking new. I mean, they're beautiful. So the one that's going to be used for when we build the construction trades lab, the larger one, the 3-phase, is going to go out and it's going to run everything in that construction trades lab, the whole thing. Every pneumatic thing that they have, it's going to run everything. And then the single phase is going to be used by our maintenance team in their shop. So for 10A through E, I would ask for your approval.
We have a motion for A through E.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Gillingham, second.
I'll second it.
Questions or comments for the superintendent on any of those items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Gillingham?
Aye.
Mr. Kieran?
Aye.
Mrs. Dane? Mr. Huska?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. Mattson?
Aye, thank you. Number 11, board member comments. Anybody have commentary? Do you have some questions about some development fees, class fees?
Oh, no, I just did it, because I still on one bottle that we charge for a diploma and $50 for academic, when the kid could buy it, book online, much cheaper, but I do have a question, and it came up after our board, Medina City Schools board meeting. Our superintendent recommended that the administrators at 260 employees, that we would buy back, or the board would buy back 10 days of vacation day if they didn't want to use it. I just wondered, do we do that here,
I'm the only one that has it in my contract currently.
the buyback?
Yeah, and it is 10 days.
Okay, so up to 10 days. And then what about anyone else?
It is not negotiated in any other contract.
Okay. And do those days carry over?
No. Ironically, Aaron and I's by contract disappear, and I've lost 4 to 7, except last year, Dennis was gracious enough to give me a couple more because of the construction, and I was managing it all. Aaron and I's, June 30th, they're gone. So whatever's left, gone. Everybody else that has vacation days, they can take it for up to 6 weeks into the next contract year, and so that's give or take August 15th.
Okay, so the contract year ends?
June 30th.
So they have 60 days?
I have to look at the verbiage, but it says something like, I believe it says 45 days or the first week that has August 15th in it.
Okay.
It's something in that, it's something like that.
Okay. I was just curious because, as much, and I would encourage people to take their vacation days because I think you can burn out. But for people who can't, I think it would be a nice little quote for the administrators that we buy back maybe 5 other days, something to think about.
And certainly we should add it in the next negotiations for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, so you negotiate with every administrator?
No, they have the administrative compensation plan like we talked about previously.
Okay, but I guess my question is, how come you have it and he doesn't have it?
I negotiated it in my first year.
Okay, and then,
I tried to negotiate it, but the board would rather me take the days off,
okay,
which is basically why I'm not here in July.
what about Jeff Hicks?
He's an administrative compensation plan, so he's like every other 260.
All right, I was just curious.
And the administrators, for the most part, quite frankly, our administrators are exactly like the classified staff. So that August 15th, it comes from the classified staff agreement. And then when I don't negotiate, honestly, I don't negotiate with the administrators at all. If the teachers get 3%, the admin gets 3%. I've never sat down with the admin team one time and changed the verbiage from before. The only verbiage that has been changed in the 14 years I've been here was Rob wanted to put in that in no case will someone get more than 150% of the raise. So if it was a 3%, you can't get more than 4.5%, even if you have much education and everything else. That is the only verbiage change in 14 years.
You guys, do you guys buy back administrative vacation days? Okay. Oh, that's really nice.
Buckeye doesn't either.
Okay.
Closely does.
As far as the 25 days, kind of the feeling was it was too many days and we can only do 20 days.
And we also have a limit on how many you can carry over, for anybody and everybody, so. Like a classified used to be able to go up to 50 days, you can carry over into the upcoming, June 30th. If you had 50 days, you wouldn't get 51, June 30th, you should stay at 50. Then they dropped it down to 30, other than the people that were there to grandfathered into it. But the administration's always been like at their max limit, it's 25 a year, and it stops there, and then they can't get a 26 or 27 unless they use backwards. And the only two that we buy back is the superintendent and treasurer.
These vacation days are supposed to be used. I think if you don't use them, then you'll regret that you didn't use them when you get older, just put the money back.
I have 32 days of my work, and I take every one of those 32 days.
And then we have a title line, there's someone that has that
No,
line.
not officially. That's why the handbook today says TBD.
Any other board comments? We have need for purposes of executive session for purposes of employment. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Gene, thank you.
It is 6:45.
No action to be taken.
Mr. Ruska?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mrs. Dane?
Aye.
Mr. Gilligan?
Aye.
Mr. Kieran?
Aye.
Mr. Mattson?
Aye.
We need a-